Welcome. We're doing another weekly Food Founders live series. I love doing these. Kind of the highlight of my week, honestly, getting to talk to packaged food producers. Thanks everybody for joining us today. We got lots of people jumping on. I'm Sari Kimbell. I'm the creator of Food Business Success, and I help packaged food business entrepreneurs start and grow their packaged food businesses. Really helping those bootstrapping entrepreneurs avoid a lot of the pitfalls. All right, so today we are talking with Jennifer with Pie Chai, and I've been really focusing on a theme this week. I was over in the Food Business Success private Facebook group, which if you haven't joined that yet, I highly recommend you go over and join that private Facebook group. But we have been talking about doing hard things this week, and I thought Jennifer is a great person to talk about this. So I'm going to let her in now.
Coming to you from my home, my little office space here. So,
hey, it's beautiful. You look like you got this like really great little setup. You're
I
professional.
Well, sometimes I try to be.
Well, why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself and your product? Just kind of give us a little background about who you are.
Okay, so I'm Jennifer Lopez. I own Swallowtail Foods, and we manufacture a line of chai latte mixes. It's a dry mix. It's called Pie Chai. And then we have a brand new line of matcha latte mixes called Pie Matcha. So that's something that's new. We're kind of having a soft launch with that because, there's just a lot of stuff going on right now. And we originally planned on launching it back in like March or April, but because of all the things that were happening, I didn't feel like it was the best time to introduce something to the marketplace. But but people had started hearing about it, and it's kind of has a little bit of a takeoff on its own right now. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to kind of do a test run with it on our website and on Amazon, and just kind of get a feel for that and feedback. So that's going to kind of be my test market.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So you have been doing this. I look back through the dates, like 6 years. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would say yes, from the very time that, I filed, but since we've actually been in the marketplace, it's been a little bit shorter than that. The first year, what I decided to do was not only get the product together, but then I test marketed at our local farmers market for that entire season. See what kind of feedback I was getting, if it was something that would be viable in the marketplace, was it something people wanted, what kind of changes, if I needed to make any. So from that point on, because it did really well, then I'm like, okay, this is something that I think that I could, get behind 100%. Yeah. So that's what we did. So, and we've been going strong ever since. So it's nice.
No bumps in the road, right? You haven't had
tons of bumps. Are you kidding? There's bumps. I won't say daily, but I think as an owner, a food business owner, or any entrepreneur, you're always going to be shifting all the time. And I think that you have to be able to pivot constantly. So you have your game plan, you have your business plan, you have your projections for this year. As we all know, our projections for this year are a little bit different than the way they started out in January. So
for better, for worse.
And you have to pivot. And sometimes that's re-strategizing. Sometimes that's just, always coming up with something to make sure that you're always moving forward. Yeah. That's, I think, always important. Yeah. So.
Wow. I love that you tested it at the farmer's market. I think that's where I very first found you at Fort Collins, where I was living. So saw you at the market, and I think I don't know if I must have been still at Whole Foods when you were doing that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Or maybe just starting my thing. But so a long time ago. And then you just kind of kept going. Your background's not in food. Remind me, I'm not sure. I can't remember now.
So,
is your background in food?
It is in food. It's in food, but it's also, the hospitality industry. So I started off a lot in hotels, and Then I moved more towards restaurants. I started off in restaurants too. I've done just about everything in the food industry. I do have a culinary background. So for me, my favorite thing is food development. I love to develop food. I love to develop recipes, and that's sort of my creative outlet. It's something that I do really well, but I didn't notice that I did it really well until later in life. People told me that that's actually like unique, that I could create these things, and I have a super sensitive palate. Some people would call it like a super taster. You know, I could taste all the nuances of things, and so I don't know. I just have a fun time doing it. So for me, when I first developed this chai recipe, I developed it because I love chai, right? And I didn't like all the chai out there, so I kind of fine-tuned a recipe. And originally I had a liquid chai, and it was to me like my most perfect liquid chai ever. And but then I discovered that the liquid chai, sometimes either it could go, like I'd make batches, like gallons of it. And then sometimes it would go, if you don't drink it for a couple days or whatever, let's say I went away for the weekend and came back, liquid chai doesn't have a long shelf life, even in the refrigerator. And then at the time, my teenage daughter and her friends would come over to the house and they would chug the chai. The next morning I'd go in there and I'm like, oh, I want some wait a second, there's none left, like, the little bits at the bottom, like, oh my gosh. And so, chai takes a long time to brew, to really get those flavors and those spices infused into the water, whatever liquid you're using. So I thought, well, in between my making these large brews of chai, I'm going to go ahead and just buy something in the marketplace that is powdered, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll just have that hold me over those mornings where I don't have it. And so for me as a food person, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Now there's this whole other category of chai. I'm like buying it online, specialty places, everything I can. Like I had all this chai lined up that I'm going to taste and try. And I kind of discovered that either chai was really pretty good tasting, and they had all these like synthetic ingredients that I don't want to consume all the time. Yeah. Or they'd have a very few ingredients list of good ingredients, but they didn't taste very well. So for me, I'm like, oh, that's kind of a little bit of a food challenge. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and find, maybe create something where I could have the best of both worlds. Because I think as consumers, we deserve that, right? If you're going to pay for something, you should have something that is good and it also tastes amazing. So, and then I thought about, that liquid chai recipe that I have, I wonder if I can take that and transfer it over to a dry powdered formula. Same thing, same ingredients, everything. So it took me a little bit, had lots of friends tasting, sending out samples to people, but eventually that's what I came up with. And I loved it. And then from there, I just decided to add in, the marketplace, trendy flavors and ideas and stuff. So we have a chocolate chai, which has the addition of a Dutch cocoa. And then we also have a Java chai, which is along the lines of a dirty chai, where we use this beautiful Brazilian espresso. So that's what I came up with. And I thought, this is what I'm going to go to market with and just see how it does. And it has just been amazing. I love it so much.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what was your next, you did the farmer's market, and then what was your next sales channel that you pursued?
So after the farmer's market, so we have two different ways of going to market. So we have these nice little retail consumer bags that we sell to grocery. So that was one way we went to market, right? CPG. Yeah. And then the other way we went to market is are these large wholesale bags, right? Those have 12 servings. These have 76. Yeah. And so this is, so for me, it was important to split the sales channels so that it was diversified enough. So this is for coffee shops and any kind of food and beverage establishments. Mm-hmm. And sorry, my screen keeps going out a little bit. And then the others for grocery. So I decided to split that up. I already had a customer base for the coffee shops. In fact, company I was working for at the time, they were so kind. I'm going to mention them, Gibbs Bagels, because they're like my family. They're my chai family. They're my love. They're my heart. They've been with me the whole way. Anytime I want something, they're behind me and support me 100%, like no matter what. So, so they told me, hey, listen, if you need a commercial kitchen space, we have
That's
it
right.
for you.
That's right.
Yeah. And same thing. You get your chai created, we'll carry it at our locations. I'm like, great. So that was a nice leap into the coffee shop business on that side. And then I started off for retail grocery, going to some of our local places here, like Beaver's Market and the Food Co-op, and places that are really supportive and open and encouraging of taking new products, especially local ones. So that's where I started off at. Okay. And
So I don't want to give, like, you're making it sound like, oh, I just did this and so easy, and then this, like, so I remember, well, when we met, one of your big hurdles was getting on Amazon. So doing hard things.
Yeah. Amazon is it is a great platform. In fact, I would encourage anyone who has a proprietary, patented, any kind of product that is unique for yourself to go on Amazon for a lot of reasons. I'm sure that Sari will tell you what those reasons are, because you really want to protect yourself. So it's important to have your presence on Amazon. But yeah, Amazon is an interesting thing. So it's its own thing. I can't even describe it. So seriously, it changes every single day. That's how it's its own thing. It's always changing, always shifting. And to me, it's really important to know people, or to have connections, or to hire people that really know what they're doing with Amazon, because it's not something you could joke around with. It's not something that if you make a mistake, sometimes people don't recover from, or it takes a lot. So it's important to do that right the first time. And I feel like you guided me in that direction. And
you said because you got rejected or suspended or something, right? And
well,
so
I couldn't get through the gate. I couldn't get through the gating process. So as a food manufacturer, there's a lot of documentation that you have to have. Yeah. And like Amazon, they don't always tell you what you need, right? I'm not kidding. That's how it works. So they say you need X and X, these documents. You send it to them, and they're like, "Well, that's not what we wanted," even though that's what we asked for, right? So I did get rejected the first time, and I didn't know what to do, because I did hear that the more you apply and the more you get rejected, the likelihood of you getting on reduces every single time. So that's when I went ahead and I hired someone to do it for me, to make sure that everything that they wanted, everything they needed, even when they, regardless of what it was, that I got myself covered every angle. And I was able to go ahead and get on there. And then that same person ended up, they're actually my Amazon manager, but they ended up doing everything, helping me with my listing and loading everything. And Amazon's really confusing. Seller Central, I knew nothing about. I mean, I know quite a bit about it now, obviously, because it's just a work in progress, but it's still always changing. Mm-hmm. And the rules change. They're always telling you what's happening, this week or today, what you couldn't do yesterday, and what you can do next month, And so it does change a lot. But I do recommend it, though, because nowadays with Amazon, it's really important to get on. And it does take a while to get that organic growth on there. But I feel like you got to start somewhere. If you wait, the more you wait, the more it's going to take. So I think it's an important platform to be on. For so many reasons.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so people on this, like, I do have some Amazon webinars, and my guy is Shannon Roddy.
Yes,
now.
Shannon. Yes. I went to that. You gave me those tickets.
Camp. Yeah.
Yes. And that was very informative for a lot of little things that I didn't think about at the time. But I'm glad I got a lot of bits of information from there that I thought were really important. I
forgot about that.
Yeah.
So I'm not an Amazon specialist, but I know people who are, and that's what I find.
Well, Shannon's he's amazing. Yeah.
Sure.
So so Amazon is it's tricky, but it's not like I don't think anyone should be discouraged by it. Just
I think
be well informed, and
Yeah.
if you need to, hire the right people to help you. This is
Say
not an
that.
area you skimp at all.
Exactly. That's
And
what I
and
would say.
and
Find people.
and one thing I didn't know until I had read stuff on the forums, that if you sign up for Amazon and you decide to quit, you can never go back.
Oh, wow.
So if you decide, oh, you know what, I'm going to close my account. Let's say I signed up, and I actually signed up in 2 years. I didn't even use it, but I never closed my account. But if I would have closed my account, I wouldn't have been able to reopen. You only get one Amazon account in a lifetime. I'm not kidding. So for anyone that opens one up and you're going like, oh, yeah, I don't think I want that. Yeah, keep it no matter what. Even if you're paying that $39.99 a month, just keep your account open.
Wow.
Not unless you never want to do business on Amazon ever again. Yeah.
Right. And who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, that's a long life to figure that out. What's your split? Because roughly like Amazon, your website, and then wholesale, would you say?
Okay, so I would say the biggest is wholesale food and beverage.
Okay.
Then I would say probably, this might switch in the next couple months. Then I would say maybe Amazon. And then I would say grocery retail.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would say website, which is interesting because I think that during this time, I'm noticing that I think I need to increase my website presence. So I think that's a thing right now that I can do and start working on that I think would be really beneficial. So my website has always been pretty strong, but once Amazon came on board, a lot of those customers went to Amazon, which is fine. But I would like to gain more customers and a larger presence with my website. But I think the CPG retail grocery in the next several months, it's going to switch. I think it's going to be up there or surpass the my wholesale coffee shop business.
Oh, good.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of, so everything's always changing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I saw you at the milk market. I did take a photo. I've been meaning to post
Oh,
it.
did you?
So glad to see you in there. Got you in the
nice
lucky.
down there.
So
Thank you.
yeah,
Yes, I appreciate
fun to
that.
see you move into Denver. I mean, you've stayed really pretty small, like with your wholesale, just around town, Fort Collins. I mean, kept it pretty local. You're not, because you're not in a distributor, right? You know.
I do have one distributor, but they deal specifically with Kroger and
that's right. Okay.
Yeah. So I am in with DPI, but I have not gone with other distributors yet. I will connect with distributors on an as needed basis. But so what's not in Northern Colorado that I distribute to self-distribute, right? I drop ship everything. So anything, like I have business customers, up to 70, or some down in Denver. I have like a new customer in Texas and other places. All of that is drop ship. Yeah. So for me, like I really love building those customer relationships. That's like really important. Customer service and those relationships with our customers to me is like number one, and so I love that. So when they want to order something, to me, it's the equivalent of having a distributor, or actually even less as far as margins go. I will actually take a shipment that they order. I could drop ship it that day, and with FedEx Ground, if it's in Colorado, they have it the next day. They have it the next day, like by noon. If it's out of state, it's usually like 2 days or 1 day. So, and I add that into the pricing of what I do because I can, because I don't have a distributor. Yeah. And I noted a lot. There's some businesses that will only work with distributors, but then there's the smaller businesses that they don't mind that. They don't mind calling you, placing an order or online, and then they get the product the next day. And I feel like it's a great value of service, and a lot of my customers actually like that. Yeah. So will that always be the case? I'm not sure with smaller customers. Yeah. But as I'm getting into larger volume customers, that might not always be the case. Obviously if I'm shipping a pallet, I'm not going to
Yeah.
you know, but with that, even if it's direct, I'll go direct if I have to, because I enjoy that, and I like the fact that I have more control over that.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you chose an interesting business model that it works for you. And actually, somebody just asked, Fresh Hibiscus Tea, can you explain how drop ship works for your business? So you're with a co-packer. You don't make your own product, right?
Yes. So that was another hard business decision to make. Is it something that you go from commercial kitchen and now, you buy the equipment, machinery, labor, everything to do it yourself? Or what I decided to do is I decided to go to a co-packer where they have my formulation. They are going to, there's different kind of co-packers. Some is like a turnkey, like full service, where they will source all your products for you. And literally you send them a PO for how much you want. They do it all, and you get the end product right on a pallet. Okay.
Yep.
Some co-packers aren't like that. You do all the purchasing and all the sourcing. You go to them, and they're just running the line for you to the finished product.
Yep.
So there's different ways of doing a co-packing. I decided to do a co-packer, and I have a full service co-packer where I place a PO to them, and then within so many weeks, depending on what it is, it's ready and it's available. So with that, when I do drop shipping, what I'm doing is I'm taking, so let's say with a coffee shop, up in Vail, they place an order with me. I package it up, the finished product. I FedEx label, either they come by or I drop it off, and it's on its way. So
okay.
That's like how I do drop shipping. So for me,
you're doing the shipping yourself, though.
Yes.
It's not a
Yes.
3PL.
No, you can do that though.
Mm-hmm.
My co-packer doesn't do any warehousing and storage, so I do have a place that does warehousing and storage, and they can. There's some places where you have a warehouse, like a third party warehouse kind of a thing, where they will do all logistics, or they will do all fulfillment. I mean, you could do that, but with every single thing that you add on is another piece that's being removed. So you always kind of want to balance what you're willing to give away, right? So I have fulfillment capabilities because I do Amazon, and so I have a backup on Amazon, right, for me to fill in case it gets empty. I have my website and everything, so I have fulfillment capabilities, so I go ahead and I utilize that.
And so it's a balance of like, where do you want to spend your time? And so you're willing to, I mean, you're a mom, you have a family, like you're at home, so you have, and now we got crazy school things.
Actually, lack thereof.
Or lack thereof. Yeah.
No school up here. So yeah.
So that's a good use of your time
I feel like with all like business owners, you just have to decide the things that you want to outsource, those things you don't. Some people prefer to do. I don't mind doing like the social media and marketing, even though I think I'm going to outsource that pretty soon. But I don't mind doing that because to me that's fun, right?
Yeah.
Where somebody else, they might think that's a pain. So for me, accounting and bookkeeping, I want to see my numbers and my P&L, but I don't want to input the data. So I have somebody else do that for me. Right. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you just kind of have to pick and choose those things that you find valuable that you don't mind doing, and then everything else that you don't like doing or you're really bad at, get somebody else to do it.
Totally. So what's kind of been your latest hard thing, especially with COVID? I mean, has it ever been like ingredient sourcing or your product?
That was a potential problem. I do know that the sugar industry had a shortage. It's getting darker in here, huh? I'm sorry. Maybe I should let some light in.
Well, you also have like smoke coming in.
I know.
Like you're near the fires. There you go.
Right.
You're right.
So anyways, what was I going to say?
Sugar ingredients.
Yeah. So I do know that sugar was on a shortage side back in like April, but that is all working through on sugar. I did through COVID. I get my tea from South America, and I was worried about it being stuck in ports, them not being able to get it through customs. So I did go ahead, and the company that I order it from, they're out of New Jersey. I went ahead and purchased enough ahead of time just to see me through in case I need it. So I did do a little bit of things like that because I didn't want to get stuck. I've always been able to fulfill orders. I didn't want that to happen.
Right.
So, and that hasn't happened. So that was good. So sometimes, you just look ahead and troubleshoot whatever that is. I did have to search for a new co-packer during that time. And that was a challenge, because, in Colorado, you have to find a co-packer that has all your capabilities, right?
Yeah.
I have stand-up pouches. Can they do stand-up pouches? What kind of ingredients, that maybe they have on site where you could kind of, you could share, right? So sometimes if you find, like me, I have a tendency to go with spice companies that do custom blending or co-packing, because I have a lot of spices in my chai. So it's kind of, it's a good situation. All those things that you have to look for. And in Colorado, we do have quite a few co-packers, but we don't have tons that were in, that met the parameters that I needed. So that became a little bit of a challenge. And then also what their quantities are, right? Minimums are huge. Some people have low minimums, some have high.
Yeah.
So just everything to fit that little puzzle of what you're looking for. And also one thing I discovered, since I am still, some of my customers, I'm still in their Colorado Proud products. Now another thing is it needs to be made in Colorado, right? Because it's part of Colorado Proud.
Yeah.
Right. So some interesting things there.
For sure. Yeah. So
but
we're doing some hard things.
Yeah. So one thing I did learn, though, that I think if anyone goes with a co-packer, that not only should you have your co-packer, but you should have someone in mind that you've already researched, you already have pricing on, that you already could jump if you needed to on a dime, have a backup. So, yeah.
That's a really good if you go co-packing. Yeah.
That's something I learned.
So you figured it out. So what has been your secret that you just, I feel like you just keep, you're not an expert at any of this.
I'm an expert at learning as I go. That's how I am. Yeah. Just learning as I go, and just, always thinking ahead. And I think that's really important. Like right now, okay, here's another huge challenge for everybody. What is fourth quarter going to look like?
Yeah.
So for us, I'm trying to make projections on what those sales are look like and make sure I have enough inventory. Do you shoot it? This is an interesting Christmas. You're just shooting it too high. You don't want to shoot it too low. What is that going to look like? Is it going to be the same as last Christmas, or is it going to look differently? I actually think online sales are going to be higher, because I think a lot of people aren't going to actually go out as much.
Right.
So I think that's going to look different, but I don't know. So.
Well, and the economy is just a big question mark, and there are so many question marks, and
there is.
We just,
Typically
really
during the holiday season, you could kind of predict on what that's going to look like, or if you have, you can measure, your growth over years, bump it up the way you need to, and do things like that. But it's kind of interesting. You're just going to have to it's the year of making your best guess.
I know we're all making some best guesses here. But yeah, whether you're at a farmer's market, I run the winter farmer's market, and we're just getting that all solidified. But we're going to be the only market that's running in the winter in all of Colorado, because we don't know that holiday market, some people really count on holiday markets as a source, like the craft fairs and things, right? But we don't know that those will actually run. But because we're a farmer's market, we're an essential service. So
that's good.
I was thinking through, people's holiday plans are getting really, like you said, fourth quarter.
And anything, and unfortunately in this environment, anything can change. It could change tomorrow. It could change in 5 minutes. It all depends on, what the health department decides. Luckily, as a food business, all food businesses, because you are essential, you don't have to shut down. So that has been beneficial. So, all kinds of goodies.
I think one of your super skills is just also being really resourceful, right? You're kind of, and I guess even just lack of ego. I think where people get into trouble is they're I can just figure it all out myself. I don't need any help. And it's
Yeah.
like, wait, I need to find help, and I can't do this all. Like, I
Yeah,
shouldn't figure out
no.
Amazon on
And
my own.
oh, yeah. No, my ego takes the back seat to I don't know, just things being like, I want so bad to make sure that everything remains successful and it moves forward in that way. I never think about Swallowtail Foods as really actually my business. I think of it as a collective of everybody who participates in it. So even if they're, if they're the accountant, or, even people on Amazon, and even my customers, to me, I always view it as it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to everybody, because everybody is what makes it successful. If I didn't have my customers, then it wouldn't be viable. So to me, it's a little bit of everybody that makes it what it is. I feel like I'm just sort of like the one that helps make those frontline decisions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But it's really a reflection of everybody that's a piece of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it, because I know, I'm hoping that someday it won't just be, it won't be like I could hand it off, or somebody else can, whatever they want to do, and it'll still be its own entity with the same things, the same values, the same everything. Like, one thing that I always make sure is our ingredients are always quality. I never skimp on ingredients. They're always where, like, even if it costs a little bit more, the price jumps up, I will maybe either absorb that in little areas or do what I can so that my customers are still getting the best value. But at the same time, I never skimp on the quality. So to me, that's really important, I think, because I am a food person, is I want people to, what they're consuming is, I want it to be good,
Right. Yeah. I feel like maybe the right word would be like a steward of your company.
Maybe. Or like a representative,
Yeah. You're just kind of the one, that's making the big decisions, but you're keeping all of the people in mind. Yeah.
Exactly. I guess that's it. Yeah. And it's fun. I feel like the products that have like sort of like they're their own thing, like they're their own person, they have their own personality, like they're like, I can't wait to see what Pai Matcha does. So I was selling in the mountain communities in the last few weeks. So my sales strategy right now is I've been doing cold calling. I'm walking into businesses, giving them samples, giving them sell sheets, and doing what I can to create new business, which has actually been pretty successful. So people want to see other people right now. I feel like it's nice, friendly, or whatever. But so I'm giving the chai and I'm giving the matcha, even though the matcha is, just, still just kind of barely inching out. But I've gotten such great matcha responses. So, I have new businesses now, carrying the matcha, which is really nice.
Awesome.
So just a positive thing. So it'll be interesting to do what matcha does. So just so you know, the matcha comes in original, it comes in blueberry, and it comes in melon. So this is my color palette for the matcha. These are labels, but these are like samples. So original blueberry and matcha. I mean, melon.
Melon, yes.
Melon. And so that's kind of fun. It'll be interesting to see. So people like the blueberry a lot. So like matcha comes from Japan. And so in Japan, the flavored matchas are actually really popular, blueberry, raspberry, things like that. So I'm kind of doing something unique and new around, like here, but I have a feeling that'll catch on and it'll come trendy in this direction. So
that's awesome. Well, congratulations. I didn't realize you were coming out with that. So that's fun. So where can people find you to go check out? I mean, you do a great job with your social media, for just being you, and that's exciting to think about getting some help with that.
It's fun. I like it, and so I think at some point I need to hand that off. But I have so much fun with it. There's so many apps of creating stuff. It's just, since I'm a creative person, it's like a creative outlet for me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool! Look what I could do here. I could do there. It's just fun. But it is time consuming. Yeah, I mean, it does take time to get all that stuff done. So it's probably, I'm not sure if it's the best use of my time, but
right. There's opportunity cost of where else could I be spending my time, but
I know.
All right. So where can people find you on social media or your website?
So social media, so Facebook is Swallowtail Foods. So I'm using that as like the parent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Pai Matcha and Pai Tea are like the children. So on Facebook, it's Swallowtail Foods. On Twitter, it's Swallowtail Food, no S, because there wasn't enough letters for my S. I know.
Why did I
Right?
choose such a long name?
Dang, I know. Swallowtailfoods.com is the website. And then on Instagram, it is, I mean, not Instagram. Yeah, Instagram. Swallowtail Foods. And then Pai Chai Tea has its own, and Pai Matcha has its own. So that one's a little more spread out because I can, it could be done that way. So they each have their own little group of following.
Do you recommend, I mean, do people get confused with Swallowtail Food and then Pai Chai? I mean, do you recommend kind of doing that, how you did the parent company and then your...
Well, my goal is that this was my thought when I first started, have the parent company and then have, the brands underneath. Because if for some reason, somewhere in the future, I wanted to sell a brand, I could sell that off and still keep the parent company and the other brands. Does that make sense?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it gives me more flexibility, because if you just have one, everything goes with it. So this way it gives me a little bit of flexibility. I don't know what's in the future.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like this is a good place to be, where I have the parent company and then I have the brands that are underneath, and there might be more brands down the line. I have too many ideas.
You have a lot of ideas.
I have too many ideas and really not enough time. I mean, I do. I have so many ideas that I always have to hold myself back. I think that would be like the ultimate job for me, is just to develop product after product after product, because I just have I have too many ideas in my brain.
That's a job. You could do that. You can get there.
I know.
Hire somebody to help you with the sales and all the things. But
I know, right? But I have a great team of people that I work with. I have great designers. I have, it just really, I feel like I have this really great team that, that I work with. So
cool. Yeah. Awesome.
And swallowtailfoods.com, our website, you could find locations on there and other things like that. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, any last words for people who are doing hard things or trying to decide if they should do this, or
just keep doing hard things. I mean, what is it? Everything in life that is worth any satisfaction, or just anything that you get out of life, is always going to be hard work. Always. There's not an easy path to anything, but it's also really rewarding. So I think it depends on what you want, but I love this path. It's very rewarding. I love it. I don't know. Can't say enough good things. And yes, it's hard. And there's going to be times, every entrepreneur has this. There's going to be times where they second guess themselves, or they question it, or they do this and that. As long as you just keep moving forward and get past those little naysayers in your brain, or other people do that all the time. You just keep going and plugging along, and just have your own game plan. Because what my game plan is very different than other people that I've talked to that are business entrepreneurs. Everybody has a different way of going to market, or what their rollout of their business is, their business plan. Some people go out with a bang. Mine is more of a gradual rollout, a gradual increase, because that's what I decided to do.
Yeah.
And so you just do what's best for you.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Totally. Because you've done a very different model. You didn't distribute, you're not really doing distribution. You're doing self-distribution.
Right.
You've had the hospitality or the food service piece, and slower build in some areas, for sure.
Yeah. So everybody has a different way of doing it. That was intentional on my part, because there were certain things that I wanted to have in place before the next thing happens. And I'm patient. So to me, it's just like, I see that kind of roadmap, and I was fine with that. But in the beginning, I had people look at me like, what are you doing? Like, how come you're just not boom getting out there, and you're boom doing this? Because that's just the way I decided to do it. And that was comfortable for me. I also took a lower risk. Boom out in the market, a lot of times it's taking out loans and doing all these other things, which I have not done. Mine is, I had this game plan of how I wanted to do it, and so I just keep plugging away.
Yeah.
One foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do believe there's a business path, a path to market for everyone, and there's a strategy
Everyone.
for everyone.
Yeah. And everyone is different, and everyone is right. There is no wrong. It's just what you decide to do.
Right.
Yeah. There's not a right answer, really. It's just what you decide that you want to do, Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks so much for your time today. This was so fun to hang out and catch up.
It's nice to see you.
Yeah, you too. And it really is Jennifer Lopez.
It is.
Yeah. We love that. That is your real name, J-Lo.
It is my real name. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you have a fantastic day. And
you too.
Thanks for everybody for joining us.
All right. Bye.
All right. Well, I just want to wrap up and say thank you, everybody, for joining us today. It was really fun. I hope that conversation was helpful. And I just want to remind you that you can do hard things. That has been a motto for me over the last few years. So you can do hard things. And if I can help you do those hard things and make things a little bit easier, please go check out foodbizsuccess.com. Again, there's a ton of Amazon resources. Just go to the resources tab up at the top. Check out the Amazon resources, and then also join the private Facebook page. Go over to Facebook and just search Food Business Success. And like I said, I just posted a video all about tools and concepts to help you do more hard things. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks for joining me. We'll talk soon. Bye.